Well, everybody, thanks very much for tuning in to this little discussion between the manager, Danny Bloor, and the fellow who sits at the back of the stand and thinks he knows better than the manager. We've been having a terrific time, I hope you have as well, looking through this absolute wagon load of goals that our camera expert Graham has put together. And Danny, I mean, before we get to anything specific, we can talk all we want about tactics and formations of tackles, but in the end, goals are the magic moments, aren't they, in football?
Absolutely, Kevin. I mean, goals, as you rightly say, that's what the game's all about. And it's obviously, if you don't concede them, but more importantly, it's about scoring goals. And we've seen some absolute crackerjacks this season, so it's going to be a great competition.
And it just sort of lifts a team, a crowd, everything about a match, you know, when you see it hit the onion bag.
Spot on. And it also, I think sometimes it depends the time of the game as well. It's sometimes, as you've rightly said this season, we've drawn games, but when you score a goal late to draw a game, sometimes that's, I call draws. You can have winning draws and losing draws. If you've been leading for the majority of the game and you concede a late goal, that's a losing draw. But conversely, when you score a late equaliser, that feels like a winning draw. So the times of goals can be very crucial as well.
Interesting, yeah. Just before we pick on, you know, we're not going to, I must tell you, viewers, that we're not going to give you any big, broad hints about who the manager thinks has scored the goal of the season, because then you'll all vote for it. So, but we will talk in general terms about what makes it a good goal. But I'm thinking strikers, Danny. I mean, they always want higher wages. You always there's something special about what makes a great striker for you.
Well, firstly, they're the people who get the plaudits. You know, quite often if you win 1-0 and it's a goal from whatever level, our level, if it's a 1-0 win and Greg Lewis scores the goal, Greg gets the plaudits. But for me, I think sometimes strikers are about partnerships. And I think we've been particularly lucky since I took over at Eastbourne Borough, having the partnership of Charlie Walker and Greg Lewis. And they both scored some very, very good goals this season.
And the important thing, I suppose, is, you know, from the point of view of the team, strikers have to work hard. They're not just there to pop the ball in at the end. I mean, I know Charlie's a good example, isn't he? Everybody loves Charlie because he's everywhere. His work rate's terrific, you know. And by the same token, if you turn that the other way around, other people, as well as your Lua and your Walker and so on, can score goals. You want them from anywhere on the pitch.
Yeah, spot on. But going back to the Charlie situation, I think sometimes, well, actually more often than not, your defending can start with your strikers. So the fact that they work really hard then sets the benchmark for the rest of the team to continue that hard work to prevent goals as well. But as you say, goals can come in all shapes and sizes, as they say. Ultimately, it's the same result. All you want is that ball in the back of the net. However, you can see solo goals. You can see good team moves that result in a goal. There's different types of goals, and we've certainly seen plenty of those.
Yeah, I mean, and when we're judging, because in the end it's personal opinions and so on, and there's so many different factors in there. For example, you've got to admire a goal sometimes when it's a superb flowing move and there's 4 or 5 really cracking passes, and you know the final one pops it in. But it's a great goal because of the build-up.
Absolutely. I mean, as you rightly say, there's different types of goals, and that sometimes the team moves when you've had a certain amount of passes, and someone basically just completes a relatively easy finish. That's some of the best goals. And then there's obviously the solo goal that someone scores, a worldie, as they say, out of absolutely nothing. So they're all worth their merits.
Yeah, and the worldies are the ones that we love to see. The surprise element where someone will take a whack from long distance or when it's least expected. There's a lot of merit in that, isn't there?
I think sometimes though those goals, Kev, you as a manager, you as a management team have to give your players the confidence to be able to do that. Sometimes I feel managers perhaps prevent their players from doing that. So I feel in the final third of the field, I think you've got to let your players express themselves and be inventive, and don't be afraid to pull the trigger. I know it's a cliche, and no one likes a cliche more than you, Kev. You can't win the raffle if they don't buy a ticket.
Yeah, but and I take your point, because we fellas at the back of the stand, we write our reports based on cliches in the end, but we also, you know, we look for something that stands out, something special. If I'm going to be a devil's advocate, is it if you get a goal through a defensive lapse, even a goalkeeper's error, does that make it sort of less worthy?
Yes and no to a degree. I mean, let's look at the last game against Maidstone when we took the lead on the stroke of half time with an error from their goalkeeper Lewington. It's in the time of the game. Of course, it's a goal. No one's, we're delighted to get that advantage. When you perhaps reflect, you do feel it's a goal not as you normally wish one to happen.
Yeah, I noticed Graham put that one into the collection, but I think it was tongue in cheek when it did, so I hope nobody's going to vote for it. There's a couple of other things in my head. One of them is the thing about playing away from home. Is there more merit in scoring a goal away? You might have to be a bit of a lone ranger if you're a striker.
I totally agree. Spot on. And sometimes away from home you can be under a lot of pressure, you can be under the cosh, and then you get that one opportunity, and it's vital for the cause that the player concerned takes that. I think away from home, you tend to get less chances to score, whereas perhaps at home you may feel you dominate more and you get more chances. So away from home, goals are very, very crucial.
There's a final one from me, and that's about set pieces. A really well taken set piece might be a direct free kick, a direct shot, or it might be a superbly worked one, or for that matter, a penalty. I mean, a penalty, they ought to score from 12 yards anyway, shouldn't they?
Well, you might want to ask Gareth Southgate that question. You're supposed to score, but we've seen penalties missed. We've seen our keepers save penalties. It's perhaps not as easy as the general spectator thinks to score a penalty. I do feel you should score penalties, but now with all the technology available at our level of football, you can know the player where he would normally put the penalty, whether it's to the keeper's left, whether it's to the keeper's right, whether they go straight down the middle. So I can tell you, our goalkeeper will always know who the opposition penalty taker is, where he's placed his last 2 or 3 penalties. So that is something that's really come into the game over recent years, Kev. But as you go to set plays, obviously it was difficult because I came into the manager's job when I did. And I think a lot of your set plays are done at the start of the season. And I think they're crucial both defensively and offensively. And that is really an area we'll be looking to improve on when we start football again. Set pieces are crucial, as I say.
Well, there's some really fascinating insights here, Danny, and I know that the next plan, we had 40 odd goals there, and they were all great fun, I may say. I've watched them through 3 or 4 times now with my mug of lockdown coffee. All the 40 goals, I need a big enough mug to go through them. But we're going to cut them down a little bit now to a shorter of a short list. We wondered about 6, we wondered about 10. But either way, we shall be publishing for the guys out there, the gals out there who are going to vote, a slightly shorter list. Not that we're decrying any goal, as we've said earlier on in our chat, every goal matters, but we think there are some really special, cracking ones there, and the judges have cut it down. So look out, everybody, for that shortlist and make your choice from there. And there are prizes at stake. There's a really nice match day experience, I think, Danny. I'm right in saying, aren't I, for the winner?
Yeah, there's a meal for 2 before the game. Then there's a package up in the Legends Lounge, and then the winner will be invited in to have a drink with Sergio and I in the manager's office after the game. Let's hope it's when we won a game, because it might be a far better experience than if we've lost it. But it's a great competition. Many thanks to Graham Austin, who's put it together for us. Graham does a lot of unsung work for the club, but he's a tremendous asset to Eastbourne Borough Football Club. I think how technology's improved nowadays, videos like we've been doing are absolutely crucial to keep everyone involved. And from me, really enjoy this competition. Take your time. There's been some fantastic goals, and it's going to be a hard task for the judges to get the winner. But I think I know where my money is.
But he's not going to tell you. Danny, absolutely fascinating stuff. Thanks very much indeed. Everybody, go back, Eastbourne Borough official, have another look, stop, start, play them back again, make your decision, and maybe you even know better than the manager. Thanks for watching. Thanks very much. Keep the faith, stay safe, and we will be back playing our live football in due course. We don't know when, you don't know when, but that day will come, and my goodness, it will be a great day.